Hello and good evening. Munson here on GMP TV, and of course it's a Homeminers night, a Tuesday evening, and our every other Tuesday we talk to Steven Whyte. So let's bring him onto the screen now and give him a nice big round of applause. Actually, good evening to you, Steven Whyte.
Hey, how's it going?
Homeminers.net is how to find this man here. Yeah, how's it going with you? I'm great this evening, thanks, Steve. It's been very autumnal, but I'm doing a project at the moment. I've been challenged about 300 days of sunshine in Portugal, would you believe? And people taking me to task on that. So I've actually started a research project, and I'm noting every day if there's been any sunshine. And although it was raining here on the Silver Coast, we did have about 10 minutes. So I'm taking that as a win today. The first of our days of sunshine, measuring between now and the 1st of October 2025. 1st of October, Steve, we're into October. What does that mean for you?
1st of October means that I have a lot of catching up to do. 1st of October also means that there's 25 days left or 24 days left until our investor networking event. So we host property events every 2 months where people can come live and come and mingle with people, in which they can learn about property investment in Portugal or purchasing property in Portugal. This time we're going to have three special guests. Fernando Nunes, he's coming from Canada to give his experience. He's an international investor. He invests in Canada, USA, as well as Portugal. And then we're going to have Paul Tinker, who has Construction Training Academy in the UK, because I think that there needs to be a little bit more insight to the level of service that is to be provided by some contractors, but also to help people protect themselves when they're hiring a contractor as well too. And last but not least, we're going to have Daniela. So Daniela is our go-to tax person when it comes to tax and law in Portugal. OTS LCCV. Daniela and her team are great to deal with, and they make sure that you understand everything before they move on to the next step.
I think she's one of our very first guests, wasn't she, Daniela? And we've also got a very special guest tonight. We'll be talking to Denise Kearney in just a moment about her experience starting up an Airbnb and working in real estate here in Portugal. Also coming from Canada. Before we move on from this networking event, which happens to be in Coimbra, October 25th, as Steve says there, 6 o'clock in the evening. Good news that you're bringing a construction expert. Most people moan about this in Portugal, don't they? Oh, you can't get people to do X, Y, or Z, and they say this and they do that and they do something else. And it's a lot of moaning. I think you've grasped the nettle here, haven't you? You're doing something constructive about it. No pun intended.
Yeah, it's really a scenario of I'm trying to keep everyone informed, not only just the people that are looking for contractors, but I'm also trying to help contractors provide a better service so that it changes this kind of mindset of how we view contractors in Portugal.
What a great idea. What a great idea. That's why I love talking to you. Not many people think like you do, Steve. And that is a fantastically laterally thought out solution to what I think is a bit of a perennial problem here. So well done on that. Fernando Nunes, Paul Tinker, and Daniela will be there on October the 25th. Anything else to say about that?
Right now it is buy 2 tickets, get 1 free. So if you're able to come to the event, right now would be the best time to try and get your tickets. And then after the 15th, it's full price.
All right.
And there'll be drinks and networking, the whole scenario.
A bit of early bird bargain available there if you want it. And I'll put that on at the end of the show without the ticker tape so that you can hold your camera up and you can scan that QR code on there. But get in touch with Steve or with me and we'll make sure that you can get a ticket for that event. Right. Special guest this evening, Denise is joining us. Tell us a little bit about Denise before we bring her on.
So Denise, I've known Denise for just about a year now. We worked together when I was working with a real estate agency. I really tried to understand how real estate agents work and how I can provide help for them. So I ended up working with Denise for about a year, going back and forth. And even till this day, now that I'm not with that agency, we still pass deals back and forward, and we help each other out find investment opportunities. Or if she has any questions, she reaches out to me as well too. But the best part about it is that she's also Canadian. She's from the East Coast, but she got involved in Airbnb in central Portugal. And that's something that I haven't really tapped into on a personal basis. We have for investors, but the whole purpose of me inviting her on to the call today is to get her personal experience of why she moved and her experience with Airbnb in Portugal.
Fantastic. Let's bring her on to do that. Nice big round of applause for Denise Kearney. Hey, Denise, how are you?
Hey, how are you? Thank you
really good. Lovely to meet you. And I know your name from the Good Morning Portugal community as well. So thank you very much for tuning in, which I think you've done for 1 or 2 years now.
I'm actually, it's going to be 3 years as of, well, 3.5 years.
Wow.
I've been following you, but as of tomorrow, it'll be 3 years that I'm in Portugal.
Congratulations on that milestone. We've been here 7, and it continues to be a fabulous place to be for us. Is it the same true for you?
Absolutely.
Good.
From the day one even to today, I absolutely love living here.
Absolutely wonderful. So tell us where you are then here in Portugal.
I'm in Vila Nova de Poiares, 35 minutes outside of Coimbra. So pretty much central Portugal.
Well, wonderful. That is a lovely area. It's quite mountainous, isn't it? As you go up into the hills there, wonderful views, wonderful air, and proximity to Coimbra, as you mentioned there. Great location. Really love that part of Portugal. Not many people know about it. Am I right in saying that?
Absolutely. What I've done, I've created a Facebook page for my Airbnb, which is called Sunrise Villa Alvorada. And what I've been doing for the past 3 years is that I've been blogging all about things I go visit and areas and places to see. And I try to take people on my trips with me. Like, for example, I did a 1-day trip where I went to see 6 castles in a day. And so I wrote about each castle and provided pictures so that people could see there's a lot to do and a lot to see here in central Portugal, and not just the Lisbon, Algarve, and Porto.
I want to see that. I suspect Steve does as well. How do we find out about the castle trip and your other blogs?
All you have to do is just go join my Facebook page, Sunrise Villa Alvorada.
Yep.
And I have piles of information. I try to add all sorts of things that would interest people about this area, and try to, so that people discover what's to see and do, including, and I've transformed that into I guess sort of like a guest book with an itinerary. I have at least 15 trips that you can do from my home, which will allow you to see a number of different things throughout your day. And so some trips are longer and some trips are shorter, but they're all an adventure with a multifaceted view. You can go see a church and a beach and eat at a certain restaurant and then go see a museum. So really, really entertaining.
Wonderful. I've got a slightly cheeky and odd question. You're running an Airbnb there, a Sunrise Villa in Alvorada. What is a Canadian breakfast like?
A Canadian breakfast?
Yes.
Canadian breakfast here is, well, I don't do breakfast for my guests. They have a kitchenette here. Okay. But if you want to know what a Canadian breakfast is, well, basically it's usually pancakes, or it's something with eggs and toast and bacon and little potatoes and hot, some sort of stewed beans.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, I didn't expect to be asking that question. I don't suppose Steve expected me to be asking that question, but I'm sure it's brought back some happy memories. We want to find out what it's like to start an Airbnb here and run one here in Portugal. Because you've come here to live, and you're running a business now, and you're working in real estate. So we want to find out all about that. How soon into being here did you decide you were going to have an Airbnb, and how did you get started?
Well, in Canada, I had an Airbnb, and when I decided to move here, I was going to be retiring from my government job.
Right.
And, a pension's nice, but it's not the be all end all, and so you need to have a little extra to come in and help pay some of the things, and so there's that. But also because I was moving on my own, I know that from experience from other moves within Canada, the hardest part is feeling connected to your new community. And so having an Airbnb is lovely because you get to have people coming to visit you and staying, and you're learning about the area as well as Europe, because people are sharing about their countries. And but I also have Canadians. I shouldn't say that, because I also have Americans and Canadians and some people even from Korea. So it's been
Very
really
diverse group, a very diverse clientele. That's fantastic. So you make it sound easy. Is it easy starting Airbnb and running one in Portugal?
It requires a pretty good setup, and you have to make sure that you have lots of extra linens and extra towels, and then there's the whole process of getting your permit, your license, getting registered, making sure you have all the safety equipment in the proper place with the proper signs, and then once then you also have to do the whole write up and pictures and all of that on Airbnb or booking.com or whatever platform you want to use. So that takes a while. You have to kind of just keep going at it, and eventually it all gets done. And then from there, with your guests, well, it's a process of love, let's just say, because you're communicating with people when they're registering and wanting to know about your Airbnb and asking questions. Then they reserve and come visit. Then they have questions about the area. Where do I go? Where do I eat? I need to do some laundry or go to the pharmacy, all of those things. And once they leave, you still have to do a review and a write-up. And most of my guests have joined Sunrise Villa Alvarado Facebook page. And so we keep in touch that way as well.
Oh, so you made friends in the process by the sound of it.
Absolutely. I've made some fantastic friends, and I'm very lucky, and I'm very honored that I even have repeat customers already. So,
good work.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Bernardino Guimarães is here. Good speaker. I agree with you. It's lovely to be hearing about how to start an Airbnb and running one, and being involved in the real estate business. So you're not content just to start and run an Airbnb. You've also got into real estate here in Portugal. How's that going? Because I mean, this is a different market, isn't it? For anyone who's worked in real estate anywhere in the world, coming to Portugal and thinking, well, it'll be fine. I've worked in real estate before. Sometimes that is a bit of a rude awakening, isn't it? Coming to Portugal.
It is different, but I work with expats, people wanting to come and move to the country. So what I try to do, I work with Kaya Properties, which is within EXP, and what we do as a team, we help people from the beginning. So if someone says, look, I think I want to move to Portugal, but I don't know if I qualify for a visa. I don't know about what it's like to live there, et cetera, et cetera. So what I find our team is really good at is helping people to start right from the beginning, and we help them answer all of these questions before they move over here. Okay. And then, of course, once they're on their way here, we help them find the home that they're looking for.
Well, that's wonderful. And can you give us some? Sorry, Steve, I'm hogging Denise. If you want to jump in and ask any questions, but this is a fascinating.
Hey, you're doing great, man.
All right, thank you very much. So can you give us some, not testimonials exactly, but some experiences or common experiences you're finding, types of people, trends at the moment with people moving to Portugal from your point of view as a real estate agent?
I work a lot with Canadians, but I do work with anybody that reaches out, of course. But I do have a little niche because I am Canadian. I reach out to the Canadian market a lot. From what I saw, 368,000 people moved here last year.
Wow.
If I'm stand correct with the statistics that I saw. Yeah. So there's a lot of people that moved here. Yes. And I think they're coming from all walks of life. I think there's a large portion of the people that are coming are retired, or they're soon to be retired, and they're planning for the retirement. And unfortunately, the sad thing I'd have to say about Canada and United States, and maybe some of the other NATO countries, is that the cost of living is getting to be quite hefty. Yeah. And there's a lot of people struggling. and they're looking further down the line, and they're saying, I'm going to be retiring. I won't have the income that I had, working full time. And, how am I going to make ends meet? So these are questions that I hear often. I think when you're asking about trends, the trend I see is people are very worried about the cost of living. And when they look at Portugal and they start discovering about Portugal, through, for example, my Facebook page, when I talk about going to the grocery store and how much things cost or things like that, or even people coming for a visit, and they say, well, how much am I paying for certain things? And we start discussing, I pay this here and I pay that in Canada. People are shocked at the difference.
Yeah.
So it's much more affordable
Yes.
in Portugal.
Right. And so you're kind of offering a counseling service almost for people who've got concerns about their future and want to make the move and to see if they can make ends meet over here.
Yes, yeah. People have, they have legitimate concerns, and they're curious as well to know what type of lifestyle it is. So I'm always bragging about Portugal's safety, right?
Yes.
When I moved here, it was third in the world for safety, and I think we're down to 6. But I mean, still, that's fantastic.
It is, and all those other countries have got population densities where you don't see anybody for a whole day anyway. We're still ranking pretty well, I think, in that table.
We're doing fantastic, and one thing as a single woman living here is that if you want to talk about the culture and the people of Portugal, I find that people are extremely respectful, especially the men are very respectful. I can go anywhere I want. I don't feel uncomfortable. And sometimes other countries, that might be an issue a little bit more, but no, it's safe. It's respectful. It's a really calm and tranquil place to live, and it offers so much to do, which is amazing.
Well, that is a lovely couple of perspectives there that you've given us. That's wonderful. We've got a question from Ian. We also know that Anderson, Bernardino, of course, is watching. Peter and Gail, if you've got questions for Denise, or even Steve, of course, as well, who's here tonight, pop them in the chat, and we'll put them to Denise and Steve tonight. Denise, our special guest of the Airbnb Sunrise Villa in Alvorada, not far from Coimbra, in Villanova de Poires. Is that, if I pronounce that correctly there?
You're darn close.
Oh, I'm close. Okay. Thank you. Okay. I won't dwell on that. We were also talking a little bit before we started tonight, Denise, about how when I first started doing, and you first started watching the Good Morning Portugal show, you had to go to clandestine meetups, and North Americans had to get up in the middle of the night to watch obscure YouTube channels to find out information about Portugal. That's changed a lot in 3 years, hasn't it? A lot of this information is at your fingertips. You offer a service yourself now. And I think there was maybe a somewhat dejected tone in my voice, thinking that it might be tailing off. I think you think the opposite, that we're ready for a boom here to take it to another level.
I truly think so. I think that we are just getting started with this market. I know that maybe some people think, oh, it's quiet in Portugal. I really don't think so. They are, for example, as of today. Oh, by the way, I'd like to say my prayers go out to the people that were affected by the Hurricane Helen down in the States, and I hope that they will find their loved ones and be safe.
Yeah, I second that.
Yeah, that's it's very terrible. But as well, what's going on in the United States is that they're closing the ports. So that's the government says that they don't want to get involved. So this is going to be very dramatic to the American people. The cost of living is going to go up, and normally what happens in the United States ripple effects around the world. And I think that even in my own country, in Canada, the cost of living doesn't seem to be going down at all. And there's a large portion of people that are on the cusp of retiring, and are looking. And even at that, I shouldn't say just people retiring. There's a lot of young families now that are now looking to they telework, or they're able to work remote. Yeah. And they're looking to move to Portugal because it's a very the quality of life here is very unique. It's very calm, and it seems like you've walked back in time.
Yes.
When I think about Canada, I feel like I've walked back 40 years in time. But yet I still have a cell phone, and you can buy the car that you want, and you have electricity, etc. But it's still, there's this different pace of life where, and people greet each other in the eye, and it's safe to walk the streets. And these are things that people look for when they want to raise their families.
And they're values that I think are guarded by this society as well, and valued by this society, right? That we as foreigners have been lucky enough to chance upon here in Portugal. I was on the other side of the mountains from you at the weekend in Castanheira de Pera. Steve knows it. What a fantastic town! What an incredible atmosphere! It occurred to me that it was like the spiritual, psychological, and social ballast of the country. All those values that you're talking about there, Denise, are evident in central Portugal. And of course, Lisbon and Porto are doing their best to lurch into the future and be part of a modern world, still with a Portuguese soul underneath it all. And then you go into central and you think, okay, this is where it all emanates from. This is where those values are embodied or locked in the stones and the hills of that part of the country. So it's just so wonderful to be there. I know Mike, who's watching, one bag and a passport would agree, I think, also an inhabitant of central Portugal, currently in the US, however, and forgot how expensive everything is. Ouch. And Bernardo is leaving us, but Bernardo, you can watch on catch up. Hugs to you as well in Ottawa. Quite a big Canadian connection, I think. And a question from Ian. Hey guys, how would the daily cost of an apartment be for a couple of months compared with a week? That's a good question. And I think, Denise, you might have had people ask you this before. This could be a trend as well, couldn't it? You've got Airbnb where people imagine they might stay for 1 or 2 nights and then move on. Then you've got a 12-month contract that you need for your D7 visa. There's not much in between. What can you do for people like that?
Well, there is all sorts of things available. But usually apartments, this is something, the infrastructure here, there are a lot of people moving. And so this is where Steve comes in as being a contractor and developing different investment properties. It's providing more places for people to come and be able to rent or to buy. But it is one of the trickiest things is rentals. You either do pretty much Airbnb, which is you can rent for 1, 2, 3 months. But if you're thinking you can rent an apartment for 3 months, it's more tricky because there's so much demand that the owners of these apartments are preferred to rent for people that are going to do the 1-year contracts.
Yeah, right. So once it goes beyond a few weeks,
it's still a niche that's a bit tricky.
I suspect Steve will be writing that down. There's a little opportunity, Steve. And a question from
I've
Mike.
already got my fingers into that one, I'll tell you that.
Okay, brilliant. Steve, Denise, from Mike. Is it easier renting a property long term? Okay, so on a similar theme here. We're on the Airbnb platform. I've heard that Portugal is making it harder to set up Airbnbs. Have you heard of this? And is that true? Denise, we'll start with you while Steve chats to his dog.
Yes. Well, the previous government had put in some regulations of where Airbnbs could be, new Airbnbs could be permitted. It affects the Silver Coast, Porto, Lisbon, the Algarve. However, in central Portugal, Airbnbs are still permitted, and within small towns and in certain areas where they can still start up new Airbnbs. So it's kind of varies from region to region, but the bigger touristy areas are more affected, where they're not allowing for more Airbnb permits at the time.
Yep.
If I'm staying corrected, and because things change, right? I'm telling you this, and next week it's going to be a brand new rule.
That's right.
Maybe I'll throw this in. For everybody that's thinking of moving to Portugal and you're doing all your research online and you say, I got it down pat, please check with a professional. So if you think that your visa is, you got it, you should really check with a professional, because the rules are changing.
Yes.
Often and regularly. So you might be, you might miss some information, or you might, be missing some documents.
You're
that you
so
know
right
that's
to say
required.
that. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right to say that. And it is, given what we said before, an absence of information. So you were going to meetups and you were watching obscure YouTube channels. Now it's gone from from famine to feast, isn't it? And you've got social media groups, sometimes with conflicting information, and then the government will kind of puff something out as an idea. Everyone thinks that's a law, and it's not. It's just an idea that's been PR'd to see how it'll go down. And everyone on social media says, "Oh, they've done this now," and it's quite a confusing picture. So a very good caveat there, Denise. Thank you very much. What do you have to say about this, Steve?
I just wanted
Addressing. Sorry,
to.
go on, Denise. No,
I
carry
just
on.
want to finish up the answering the question because they wanted
Yes.
to know. And with the Airbnb, there's a new government in place. There might be new regulations about where the Airbnbs can be, the premise could be or not.
Yeah.
So we're waiting on that. But if you're trying to do long-term Airbnb, it might be possible. I think if you're looking at apartments, Airbnb apartments, not Airbnb rooms, I think that could be a place to look.
Yeah. Okay. And thank you for that, Denise. And another caveat from Pete. Good evening. Be careful of Facebook groups, as some are run by the very people you're trying to avoid. Okay, you can sort some wheat from chaff before you get here in the social media groups. It might be useful from that point of view. Let's conclude then tonight with you, Steve. And I think we should get Denise back another time, Steve. It's been fantastic tonight to chat with you, Denise. It's been too long in happening with us talking to each other, but I hope you'll come again to GMP TV and Good Morning Portugal show. We'll see you in the morning as well. Steve, could you conclude for us? I think you might have something to add to this question about setting up an Airbnb and that middle ground between Airbnb and long-term rentals.
Yes. So I definitely think that if you do not have the experience, or it's going to be your first Airbnb that you're looking at, I would definitely consider long-term rentals, especially for Central Portugal.
Yeah.
I mean, it works in all over Portugal just because of the demand, but we've already started dipping into the accommodations that is for midterm rentals because no one is really providing this. So we're trying to go to maybe smaller locations where we are able to provide affordable properties, but they're not too far outside Coimbra, or they're not too far outside if you get to the Foz, Porto, Lisbon. It's really, what I'm trying to say here is that don't try and run before you can walk. So if you don't have experience with Airbnb, maybe get a house that you can split into 2 units and have one side as a long-term rental and the other side as an Airbnb, so that you can
A/B testing on site. Fantastic. And Denise, are you available as an Airbnb coach? Would you be a consultant to people who want to try it out?
I certainly can try to help you. That's
right.
no problem.
Okay. Excellent. All right. I'm just thinking of another income stream there as a Airbnb fairy that can help you.
I don't have much to do.
Yeah. Sorry, I shouldn't be giving you more work. And Steve, you said midterm rentals. What do you mean exactly, and what's your solution?
So when I say midterm rentals, you're accommodating for those people that aren't looking to stay for less than 30 days, but they're not looking to stay for a year. There are people that are looking to find their place that they're trying to live. For example, we have a lot of clients that request that they want to live close to the place that they're considering purchasing a property. So what I tell them to do is go a little bit outside and travel in every day and experience this, because places are expanding, not contracting. So if you go just a little bit outside of where you want to live, not only will it be a good investment, but it will be an opportunity for you to gain value through watching the market grow.
Very interesting. And would you agree with Denise that we are looking to a boom next year with what's going on in North America?
I truly think that is going to be a great influx of people moving here in the next coming years.
Thanks, Denise. What about you, Steve? What do you say on that?
I believe so too. And I'm trying to prepare as many people as I can for it before the big gold rush happens. We saw what happened with the golden visa, but I think it's getting to a whole new level where, yes, people are looking to retire in Portugal, or, if they're digitally based, they're looking to come over to Portugal. But we also have regular people, plumbers, contractors, electricians. They're coming over from overseas or different parts of the EU into Portugal just because the weather is better here in most locations, or, that topic of sun is up there as well too. They have to talk to that tall guy.
If you're a roofer, you want 300 days of sunshine. And I mean, there's going to be plenty of work for a contractor that pitches himself in the right way. You know, talking about the gold rush, I think it's fair to say, to quote you and not misquote you, it was a silver tsunami you spoke of. So first comes the silver, which you're helping people with the silver tsunami, and then there's going to be a gold rush after that. It seems like you're both suggesting that.
Yep.
Fantastic. All right. So just finally then, thanks, Denise. Thanks, Steve. Join Steve at the event in Coimbra on the 25th of October. That's 6 o'clock in the evening. It's going to be sociable as well as educational. Anything else you want to add to that? I'll stop the ticker tape on that so you can see the full QR code if you want to take a snap of that on your phone. So last word to you, Steve.
Just try and be aware and do not rely on Facebook groups for your information. Like Denise said, really talk to professionals, talk to people like myself, talk to people like Denise, and even people like yourself. If they have the opportunity to talk to you directly, Carl, you get a piece of what everyone is doing in Portugal, and you're the most connected person in Portugal, in my opinion.
Well, thank you.
If you want to learn something or you want to grow from something, you find it right here on GMP.
Right, and we talk about this in real time every weekday morning. So if there is something on your mind you want to bring to the community, and we'll do our utmost to help you with it. And that's where I'm going now. I'm going to the Portugal Club for our not on air but off air club where we get together on a Tuesday night. So that's where I'm headed now. And if I may, Steve, with your permission, just play the intro to the Good Morning Portugal show by way of a little advert. Is that okay as a way to end this evening? Fantastic. All right, Denise, Steve, thank you very much. Great job. Take care, everybody. Bye for now. See you in the morning.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.